Hey everyone, I'm Rob and welcome to the test drive. In today's video, I'm reviewing the 2020 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. And if you missed my last video, this vehicle is actually mine. So my wife and I did get this 2020 Wrangler for our business. It's a new business that we're starting. She's gonna be the one primarily running it. But we're opening up an F45 training studio outside of Boston. So we're gonna have a bunch of content about that on our other channel called A Wander Affair. That's the channel that my wife primarily runs, and we'll be taking you through the whole process on that. But in this video, I'm actually going to review this Jeep since I've had it for about 5 days now. I've gotten to drive it, well, over 600 miles. But there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the 2020 Wrangler, especially the Rubicon. So if you've seen some of my previous reviews, you may know that I've already reviewed the Wrangler Sport S, and then I also recently drove the Gladiator in Southern California for a couple of days. So that's been a lot of fun, and it's been really great to experience some of the different variants of this new Jeep platform. However, the Rubicon is a completely different animal. This is the basically highest end Wrangler that you can get in 2020. There is a Rubicon Recon version that's basically a Rubicon with some added goodies, but this is kind of the king of the hill when it comes to the Wrangler. And that's one of the reasons I wanted this, because it looks so freaking good and it is an absolute beast. I have a lot of plans for this thing. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it, and we're gonna kind of put it to the test. I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna really get to fully experience what this thing can do. I think we'd have to take it out west to like Moab, Utah, and some really crazy places out there, which unfortunately I don't think is gonna happen for this Wrangler. I could be wrong, we'll see. But still, there's so much to talk about with this new Jeep, and I'm so excited to share this experience with you. So like in every other review, we're gonna start with the exterior of the 2020 Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. And if you look at the Rubicon, if you see one parked next to any other version of the Wrangler, as long as it hasn't been modified, you can tell right off the bat that this is a very off-road capable SUV. It sits higher than the other Wrangler trim levels. You have these massive all-terrain tires, which are amazing, and they look so freaking good. And just the stance, the presence that this Wrangler has is just above and beyond what most other Wranglers on the road have. And I absolutely love this latest generation of the Wrangler. I think they've made it look more elegant, more expensive, but at the same time it retains that rugged, off-road ready look that is what the Wrangler is. The Wrangler is a civilian version of a military vehicle. That's what it's always been. That's what it's always gonna be. It's not gonna look anything like a Grand Cherokee. It's not gonna ride like one because it's not supposed to be one. But obviously I love the look of this Rubicon. I love that you have the Rubicon badging as well. It just kind of reinforces the fact that this isn't a modified Sport S or a Sahara, that this really is the highest level Wrangler that you can get. And that's primarily why people buy these. Other than serious adventure off-road junkies that are actually going to use all the capability of these trucks, most people buy them because of how they look. Then when you get to the interior of the Rubicon, it's absolutely beautiful in here. It's so much nicer than what you'd expect or need in a Wrangler. And that's one of the amazing things with the latest generation of the Wrangler, is that they made it really nice and very refined, but they still preserved all of the rugged characteristics that you'd expect in here. You still have these handles that you can hold on to, but you don't have the cheap hard plastic anymore either. You have these beautiful soft leather seats with the Rubicon badging. You have this red stitching all over the interior. You have a very nice soft leather wrapped steering wheel. You have all of these very rugged controls. You of course don't have power seats because that definitely doesn't belong in a Wrangler. And I'm also really impressed with the amount of space that the inside of this Jeep has. The driver and front passenger have a lot of room. These seats are pretty big, and then the back seat is absolutely massive. I'm 6 feet tall and I have no problem sitting behind myself. Somebody significantly larger than me can sit back there Wrangler with no issues. There's so much legroom. There's a lot of headroom as well, which is great. And then you also have a pretty large trunk, and you even have a storage compartment underneath of the trunk. Then when you get to the performance, there are 3 different engine options for the 2020 Wrangler. The base option is the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, puts out about 285 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. It's a pretty good engine. It's very common among so many FCA vehicles. The one that I'm driving actually has the 2-liter inline turbocharged 4-cylinder, has a little bit less horsepower, about 270, but it does have more torque, 295 pound-feet, and you can really feel that. I have to say that this is probably a quicker Wrangler because I've driven the V6 as well. And while I'm instinctively not a fan of downsized turbocharged engines, this Turbo 4 is pretty good. It puts out more than enough power, and it doesn't sound horrible. It's a little bit 4-cylinder sounding, I guess, but honestly, the Wrangler is not about the sound. The Pentastar V6 doesn't sound amazing either. This is really about off-roading. It's about just the cool factor. And of course, as you'd expect, the Rubicon doesn't handle extremely well. It probably has the worst handling of all of the Wranglers because you do have these giant all-terrain tires instead of all seasons. It does sit higher, so it handles okay. You definitely have to take turns much less aggressively than you would in other vehicles. I mean, in any Wrangler, you're gonna have to slow down, but especially in the Rubicon, the handling's not great, and it's not meant to be because this thing kicks ass off-road. That is what it's meant for. That's what it's built for. Anything negative that you have to say about the handling, honestly, is just what it is. It's like, if you complain about the handling, you obviously don't want to be driving a Wrangler, especially not a Rubicon. Yeah, I mean, the 4-cylinder is pretty quick, and you don't really get any turbo lag either. Now, if you get this thing up to extremely high speeds, then it gets a little squirrely, again, like you'd expect. But it does handle pretty well. It wanders a little bit, but not too much. It's definitely better than the previous generation Wrangler. And for having these big all-terrain tires, you don't get an insane amount of road noise. It's not bad. It's definitely bearable. It's nice that the traction control does let you get a little bit of wheel spin. So obviously this is a rear-wheel drive based vehicle, but you do have the 2-speed transfer case with 4 high and 4 low. And then you have some other off-road controls as well. You can disconnect the sway bars. So again, at higher speeds, you do get quite a bit of wind noise. This does have the aerodynamics of a garden shed going down the highway. So it is what it is, and it's something you get used to. And these all-terrain tires may be a little bit weird to get used to initially, but once you do, you realize their limits and how you need to drive with them. And again, for the look and for the capability, I'm fine with them. I don't care. I don't miss all seasons. And this Jeep actually does really well in the snow. I've gotten to drive it in a couple inches of snow, nothing crazy, and it's handled really well. It never even came close to getting stuck. Actually, I never even needed really to put it in 4-wheel drive. This thing has gone into unplowed parking lots in rear-wheel drive and not gotten stuck, which is freaking awesome. Then when you get to the technology, the 2020 Wrangler Rubicon is, again, very impressive. You have this massive 8.4-inch Uconnect touchscreen. There's also the 7-inch Uconnect option that doesn't have navigation, but it's still almost the same system. But this does have the fully loaded package for the technology. So you do have the Uconnect navigation system. You also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have this really nice screen in between the tachometer and the speedometer that's in pretty much every modern Wrangler and Gladiator. And then what I'm most impressed with is the connectivity in here, because you have 3 USB-C ports, 1 up front and 2 in the rear. You have 2 USB ports up front, 1 underneath of the touchscreen, 1 in the center console, and then you have 2 in the back. And then you also have a full 115 volt power adapter in the back, as well as a 12 volt DC power adapter up front. And I think you also have, actually I know for a fact, you also have another 12 volt adapter in the trunk. So this thing is very well connected. You can plug in so many phones and iPads and other stuff. it's really awesome to see how advanced the new generation Wrangler is. If I was custom building a Rubicon, I would definitely get the 3-liter turbo diesel V6. I wish I had that engine in this Jeep, but unfortunately there are none of those on dealer lots yet, and I didn't want to wait for them to arrive. I specifically wanted a white one because we're going to be adding graphics. The dealership that I bought this from owns 7 different lots, and I don't believe there was a single V6 Rubicon. I think they were all the Turbo 4s, which there is like a quick order package where dealers can order like a preset option list, and all of them, all the Rubicons come with the Turbo 4. My only complaint with the 4-cylinder is how terrible it is on gas. I drove it on like a 400-mile road trip, all highway, driving 75 to 80 miles an hour, pretty much flat the whole way, and it averaged 14 miles to the gallon, which is horrible. I mean, it's rated at 21 in the city, 22 on the highway. I'm thinking though, as the engine gets broken in, it's probably gonna get a little bit better, but I was just surprised at how bad that is because I've driven so many full-size pickup trucks on long road trips and gotten around 20, 21 miles to the gallon, so it's kind of disappointing, but at the same time, I love this thing, so I don't really care that much. So if you can't tell, I absolutely love this Rubicon. I have so much planned for it. There's gonna be a lot of content on the channel with this thing. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it. We're gonna do some modifications. I cannot wait for what's in store for the channel with this Jeep. So if you like this video, if you want to see more upcoming content, as well as more reviews, I have a lot of those in the works, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. Once again, I'm Rob, this is The Test Drive, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.